Good afternoon. Take 1 minute here. Welcome and thank you for being here. We've got our whole team in here. Thank you for being present for this announcement and this ceremony of signature. Good afternoon. I'm Rob Bonta, California Attorney General, and I want to say thank you all for coming today for this press conference. Thank you all for joining us for an exciting announcement in our ongoing commitment to tackle illegal commercial cannabis activity in California, an ongoing effort that is multidimensional and multifaceted, but we have made progress today on an important new tool in the toolbox to help address illegal cannabis here in Fresno, and it creates a model that we can use statewide. I'm very proud to be here with Fresno City Attorney Andrew Jans to provide the first MOU of this type in the state of California. So it is unprecedented, it is historic, it is important, it is impactful. And before I go into the details, I just want to say thank you, of course, to City Attorney Jans, but also to the team that we have the honor and pleasure of working with every day to help us get to this point. We have an incredible California DOJ Cannabis Control Section, and our leaders there include Senior Assistant Attorney General Harinder Kapoor, Supervising Deputy Attorney General Josh Eisenberg, and Deputy Attorney Generals Ethan Turner and Justin Buller. So thank you to my team for being innovative and out of the box and solution oriented and using the force of the law to make an impact throughout our state. I also want to say thank you to DOJ's Division of Law Enforcement, as well as DOJ's Bureau of Investigation, including the Bureau Chief Stephen Woolery, who is here with us today, who oversees our Eradication and Prevention of Illicit Cannabis Task Force. And, of course, thank you to City Attorney Jans' entire team. We appreciate the partnership. We appreciate the collaboration. We know that when we work together, we can get more done. And that's what our shared constituents expect of us, to team up, to join forces, to work together, to get out of our silos and attack the common problems that are impacting their lives. And so that's what we're here to announce today. California is known throughout the country as a leader in the world of cannabis. We were the first state to establish a medicinal marijuana program way back in 1996, and the fifth state to legalize adult use cannabis in 2016. We have the largest safe, legal, and regulated cannabis market in the entire world. Despite that, illegal, unlicensed cannabis activities continue, unfortunately, to flourish in California. In fact, illegal cultivation, manufacturing, and retail still makes up the majority of California's cannabis activity. There is more illegal and illicit activity than there is legal activity in the state of California, and that set of circumstances, that status quo is unacceptable, and it must change, and it will change through action like we're announcing today. By operating in the shadows, these operations, they skirt laws and regulations that protect our environment, our workers, our public safety. They put all of those things at risk. They put our workers at risk, our environment at risk, our health and safety at risk. They use highly toxic chemicals, like the lethal insecticide carbofuran that is effectively banned in the U.S. but used in these illicit activities. They litter our forests with industrial materials and siphon water away from communities and farmers already struggling from water scarcity and drought. And they traffic and exploit workers, keeping them in squalid, isolated sites for months on end with no way out. At the same time, this underground cannabis market hinders the truly untapped economic potential of legal cannabis operators, trying to do business the right way, paying their taxes, creating good California jobs, following the regulations and the rules. But they're being undermined by illicit activities, often right next door. Business people working hard to stay afloat, pay their employees, contribute to California's economy, and forge a new path forward in what is still a budding industry. So we're at the beginning of making the legal cannabis marketplace successful, and we, of course, are not without our challenges, and what we do early, what we do now, is critical to ensuring that success. And it's a complex problem. that local governments and law enforcement grapple with throughout the state, and we are here to announce a model that will provide support, partnership, productivity, and solutions at the local level. So that's why I'm proud to be here today to announce the California DOJ's Cannabis Administrative Prosecutor Program, or CAP, C-A-P-P. I'm thrilled to announce that the City of Fresno is the first partner to sign on. The CAP program focuses on protecting our environment, our workers, our public safety from the impacts of illegal cannabis activity through administrative enforcement and nuisance abatement. You can get outcomes quickly that way, efficiently that way, by treating illegal cannabis as a public nuisance, a land use issue, and like any other illegal business practice, this program offers a more cost-effective alternative that can be undertaken on a larger scale when criminal prosecution or civil litigation aren't appropriate, necessary, or effective. It allows us to target greedy individuals profiting off illegal businesses and hit them where it really hurts, in their wallet, in their pocketbook. When a city or county signs on as a CAP partner, and we hope that Fresno is just the first, and there will be many others, we already have others eager to join us and are raising their hands, and we are forging those partnerships as we speak, they will have access to vital legal, investigative, and administrative support from DOJ's Cannabis Control Section. We'll help them increase the scope of their illicit cannabis enforcement so they can be involved, taking down more illicit activity. We'll provide resources and education to build enforcement programs, sharing what we've learned as a player in the space statewide, and provide evidence collection with the hope of pursuing large-scale statewide prosecution of individuals involved in these illegal operations. So we'll see patterns and practices around the state and be able to focus our resources on the most severe violators. We'll use cost-effective, expedient, and efficient administrative enforcement methods to hold those profiting off these illicit operations accountable. We'll issue citations, notices of violations, orders to abate the illegal activity. Operators will then have the opportunity to voluntarily shut down, but if they don't, we'll take action to ensure they do. The CAP program is a new layer on a foundation of work laid over many years by the DOJ and our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners. Most recently, last October, we announced DOJ's Eradication and Prevention of Illicit Cannabis Task Force, or EPIC. That task force marked DOJ's transition from seasonal eradication of illegal cannabis activity to year-round enforcement, ratcheting up our efforts, being more active. It ushered in more resources and a team of DOJ agents who are working closely with our law enforcement partners to take down illegal operations. Today, EPIC officers continue to work tirelessly to eradicate illegal cultivation with great success. So we have EPIC going on simultaneously with CAP. And those same officers will work closely with CAP and the participating cities, offering investigative tactics and support as part of the program. So we'll bring our resources to bear from our EPIC team as well as our CAP team for our local partners. Additionally, we've been working with my former colleague and friend in the California State Legislature, Assemblymember Brian Mainshine, in support of his bill, AB 1684, which is legislation which, if passed and signed into law in California, would expand and strengthen the ability of local jurisdictions to address illegal cannabis activity through administrative enforcement. And so it will make more robust this administrative enforcement pathway. It'll open the door for those cities to more readily partner with our office as they bring more tools online. So as I close, let me just say this. The proliferation of illegal cannabis activity didn't pop up overnight, and we can't expect it to be eradicated or fully addressed overnight as well. It will take more than one strategy. It is complex. Again, it's multifaceted. It is tangled up in a failed war on drugs and decades when it was criminalized. As our laws have changed, our programs have evolved. And just as important, our mindset has shifted as well. So instead of perpetuating harms from the failed war on drugs, we are moving in different directions and making running an illegal operation more risky and less profitable, more difficult and less desirable. Of course, to be clear, when dangerous criminals are involved and public safety is at risk, we take appropriately aggressive, proportionate law enforcement action and those actions will continue. That will never change. But low-level offenders that don't need to be treated as criminals, when we can shut down their operations through the administrative process, we will. And this will allow us to better uplift and support the legal cannabis industry and ensure those businesses can continue to thrive and fuel our economy. So we're excited about our CAP program as a new strategy that we're introducing into the ongoing effort to address illicit cannabis activity in California. I'm confident it will have dramatic and material impacts immediately. I look forward to getting started with the City of Fresno. Grateful to be here with the City of Fresno leaders to announce the beginning of this partnership. And with that, I would like to turn it over to my friend and the Fresno City Attorney, Andrew Jans, to say a few words. After that, we will be signing the documents, and after that, we will answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney General Bonta, for continuing to make Fresno and the Central Valley a priority for your office. As the City Attorney of Fresno, I'm excited to be here with my friend Rob to announce this first-of-a-kind joint venture between my office and the Office of the Attorney General. This partnership will assist the local legitimate cannabis industry and help grow the city's tax base. That's our goal. We intend to pursue administrative remedies against illegal underground operations that have historically targeted children and minors. It is my hope that this pilot program becomes a model for other large California cities. To be clear, this is not the criminalization of the use of marijuana, but rather it is an effort to support law-abiding business owners who have gone through the lengthy municipal cannabis permitting process. The illegal underground market has taken a bat to the legitimate industry's bottom line and by extension, the city's bottom line. Fresno's participation does not require additional local funding, and I would like to thank the Attorney General for providing the resources and staffing necessary to assist in implementing the administrative prosecution program. In fact, our teams have been meeting all morning to move this project forward procedurally, and so I'm very happy to welcome your team to Fresno as well. Once again, the City of Fresno has been forced to engage in creative problem solving to tackle an issue that probably should be addressed at another agency level. I want to end with this. Those of you who continue to operate smoke shops, hookah lounges, and tobacco stores by targeting our children with illegal and unregulated cannabis, your day is over. We will no longer stand by and let you stifle the permitted cannabis industry. We will hit you where it hurts, your bank accounts, your wallets, your pocketbooks. If you continue to operate illegally, you will be fined. You will lose your property, and you will lose your ability to operate in the City of Fresno. With that, we'll do the signing ceremony. Yeah. So 3 copies, one for the clerk, one for your office, and one for my office.
So I'll sign off.
Yes. I've already signed, and the city manager's already signed, so it's all you.
Super. All right.
Today's the 29th. wait. I promise you it works.
The most difficult signing ceremony in the history of signing. Difficult by Attorney General Bonta. All right. There's number 1.
Beautiful.
Let's make all of them official.
Great.
All right.
Thank you. Any questions?
Attorney General,
Yes, sir.
I'm the old guy in the room. Okay, I see this picture of you. I've heard you talk about illegal cannabis, but quite frankly, what is the problem? Is this the problem here, or what?
The problem is multifaceted and looks like different things. This photo is one example of. This photo is one example of illegal cannabis at the retail level, primarily. Cannabis products that are made by businesses that aren't following the rules, aren't paying their taxes, aren't licensed, aren't operating legally in the state of California. And it happens up and down the supply chain, from cultivation to distribution to retail.
If I may, Attorney General, they're targeting our kids. This looks like candy. We got a call yesterday from a local principal who has evidence that a local smoke shop is doing this. So it's happening right now. And yes, it is a problem.
So, Attorney General, in Fresno, isn't these illegal shops in the fall why only 2 of 21 stores are open? Or is it the onerous bureaucratic method and the unwilling city council have only seen 2 shops open? Well, what's the real problem that illegal marijuana industry in Fresno is not thriving?
It's multiple. And we can have a long and deep discussion about this. And this is an issue that I've worked on since I was a co-author of the Medical Cannabis Regulation and Safety Act, which provided regulations for medical cannabis for the first time and was the basis for the proposition that led to adult use cannabis in the state of California. The barriers to entry are too high. The costs to stay right now, the costs to stay in operation are too high. And we should be lowering taxes, at least temporarily, for our cannabis legal cannabis businesses, and we should make the regulatory burden less than what it is while we target the illicit marketplace that is undercutting them. So it's multifaceted. It's all of the above. And some folks believe that they can avoid the tax burden, the regulatory burden, and just operate and make a profit without being legal. And they've been doing it. They haven't been shut down. They haven't had an administrative action taken against them. And that's what is necessary, and that's why this will be an important tool and why that is now going to change. So I think it's multifaceted.
How do delivery services play into all this? Are they legal? Do they operate in Fresno? Who regulates them, and is what they're doing illegal?
You want to talk a little bit about Fresno specifically?
Sure, I will. David, this is something that we are currently looking at, and so this is a county-wide problem too, right, when you have folks delivering from out of town. I know that the City Council is taking a hard look at this issue. I know the administration is as well. But as the Attorney General said, I mean, this is a multifaceted problem, and that's just one element of it.
So is that illegal or not? If you operate, let's say, a Clovis and you're allowed to deliver in Fresno?
Is it illegal? What do you mean, like under state law, or?
No, do you have to be permitted in Fresno if you have delivery service based out of town?
Well, that's something that we're looking at, obviously, and there are other county regulations that are at play as well. Because if you're crossing into one jurisdiction to another, I'm not going to stand up here and give your publication legal advice. We're looking at it.
Well, Attorney General, I'm sure this is not the first time somebody asked this question. So, what's your opinion on it?
My opinion is that generally there is a state set of rules to abide by and a local set of rules to abide by. And that has been part of the process from day one, sort of local participation, codification of rules and regulations and requirements for cannabis businesses to operate legally, and then a set of state requirements. And each set of circumstances is different. You could need to look at the unique facts and circumstances of the distributor that you're talking about or the business that you're talking about. If they are abiding by all applicable laws, they're operating legally. If they're not abiding by some of the laws that apply to them, they're not operating legally. And for some of them, maybe they can. They're not aware, or they need to be educated. They can come into conformance with the law. Maybe some are flouting the law, scoffing at the law, deliberately and intentionally violating the law. And for those folks, we're going to have to shut them down because that's not acceptable in the legalized, regulated, safe cannabis marketplace that the people of the state voted on. They went to the ballot and they voted on that, and that is not what they're getting. But we intend to change that by cracking down with administrative procedures on those who are operating illegally.
So there's cannabis in all these products.
Do you want to talk about the photos? Yeah. So these are. Can someone describe where they're from and they're local in Fresno and?
Sure. These images were taken from a pop-up dispensary in San Francisco, and those products are all ordinarily looking food products that have been sprayed with cannabis distillate that's either hemp-derived or cannabis-derived, and the products are not tested in any laboratory. They're paying no taxes. They're not paying any local permit fees. They're just pure profit, and they don't care what happens to the consumers who consume these products that are untested.
They're not manufactured by Doritos or anything like that, correct? These are
No.
Okay.
They're knockoffs.
Yeah, knockoffs.
They're knockoffs.
Okay.
I had a question for Andrew, Fresno specific. When you say administrative action, what does that mean? What does that look like? And second, how many shops do you estimate are in Fresno that would fall under this?
I would say at least a dozen would fall into this category by my estimation. And so, historically, we've approached this issue from a criminal standpoint, and so we're going to use our existing ordinance that we have in terms of how we go about abating property, how we fine property owners for violating the municipal code. This process is going to be faster than taking this to court. And as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a process that's going to hit them where it hurts, their pocketbooks. And so we think that partnering with the Attorney General's office, using their resources to go after some of these illicit businesses, it will be a benefit to the people that are doing it the right way. And so we're going to focus administratively on making sure that we properly notice these folks, but then if they don't comply, we're going to go after them in terms of abatement. We're going to go after their property, any type of equipment that we find on their land, and we're going to shut them down if they don't comply.
Andrew, who's going to be doing this? Code enforcement? What regulatory?
Sure. I mean, the abatement process, the inspection process, we're still working out the logistics of it, but the way I view it, code enforcement will be working very closely with the Attorney General's office in executing this. And like I said, we're still working out the details. That's why we're meeting this morning. This MOU allows us to get in a room together and have that conversation.
Attorney General, can I ask you a question about Biolab? I'm not sure if you're aware of what happened in Reedley, a legal biolab that was shut down. As a state attorney general, what can you do to keep these things from popping up in other parts of California?
I'm familiar with it, of course, and we're monitoring it and in contact and in communication with some of our partners. This is an incident that has drawn the attention and participation of multiple levels of government and multiple departments and agencies. We have the FBI is involved, the U.S. Or the State Department of Public Health, the Fresno Department of Public Health, CDC are all interested. And so there are multiple eyes looking at what happened, why it happened, and how do you prevent it going forward. So we're monitoring it.
Isolated incident, or is it a problem all over California?
I'm only aware of this one. It doesn't mean it's the only one because I'm not aware of it at this point. So the fact that it existed and that it occurred, I don't think you can assume it's the only one. I don't think you can assume there's others either. I think we need to be vigilant in terms of our investigation and what we do next to see what the scope of the problem is. It's the early stages. So identifying what happened there with this individual instance, and then also identifying whether there are other patterns and similar activity happening throughout the state, and frankly, throughout the country. Just making sure that laws are being followed and labs that are operating appropriately and safely.
Is there any criminal nature of any potential investigation your office would do?
I think it's still emerging at this point. So as we learn more, we'll be able to get our arms around the facts and determine if there's any criminal violation.
I know there's a congressional inquiry into this. They sent letters to your federal counterparts. If they send you a letter asking for information, will you comply?
We will always comply with our partners for the common good and in enforcement of the existing law.
And Attorney General, just another question from our station here. With the decision to sue Chino Hills recently over transgender identification policy, does the state intend to pursue legal action against other districts that enact a similar policy?
Chino Hills Unified School District has violated and trampled on the civil rights and constitutional rights and privacy protections of children. They've gone out of their way to do it. We told them it was a violation. They did it anyway. They are intent on it. And these are folks who like to claim they're law-abiding, and you need to follow the rule of law. There are laws that protect children's rights. They are violating those rights. And their policy, a mandatory outing policy of transgender children who, in many cases, don't want that information shared and can be, as the data shows, put in danger. That policy has been replicated in other school districts. So we're going to address the policy at Chino Hills. That was the first one. If we are successful, as we believe we will, then we will send notices of violation to the other school districts who have the same illegal, unconstitutional policy that's trampling on the rights of children. So we will address the policy anywhere it exists, and we will protect the children in any of the school districts where they're being hurt.
They use the term trampling on the rights of children. What about parents' rights?